It may be that your soil is compacted. It may be that your grass is very thin. And you say, okay, I want an organic Roundup. I want to use something that will kill everything, but I don't want to use Roundup because I have now learned that it's a cancer causer and it's a bad thing to use. Vinegar, orange oil, and a squirt of dish soap. You mix those three things together and you can get your homemade Roundup that is a whole bunch safer.
Vinegar, orange oil,
and dish soap.
A little bit of dish soap.
A little bit of dish soap. Yeah. The ratio is 1 gallon of vinegar, 2 ounces, or as I prefer to think of it, 2 jiggers of orange oil, and then just a little squirt of dish soap. You now have something that is as effective as Roundup at killing green vegetation that you spray it on, but without the toxicity. Now the stronger the vinegar, the better. Economically, if you're doing a bunch of it, you're probably going to want to go to H-E-B and buy pickling vinegar, which works fairly well.
So what do you do to orange oil?
You get in any nursery, any garden center will have it. Down on the bottom. There it is, right there. This is, and everybody says, what else might you use orange oil for? I'm sorry they don't put it in anything smaller than a quart. You can go to H-E-B and you can buy something they call TKO orange cleaner, and it's in a much smaller bottle. It costs the same amount as the bigger quart of orange oil. If you're looking for a really great cleaner, I use this to mop my floors, my hardwood floors, my linoleum floors, that sort of stuff. It is a solvent, and it is the best cleaner you will use on just about anything. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have fun. I mop my floors with this. What do I do with my mop water? I go out and look for a fire ant mound, because this also is also a pretty good insect killer. And I'll go out and dump my mop water on a fire ant mound and it kills all the fire ants out. I love the old, back in the days when Saturday Night Live was funny, and then have the dueling things where say, it's a floor polish. No, it's a toothpaste. No, it's a floor polish. No, it's a toothpaste. You know, they gotta come out and say, wait, you're both right. It's a floor polish and a toothpaste. Well, in this case, it is a floor cleaner and it is a fire ant killer. But let me finish the formula here and how it works, and then we'll get your questions. Vinegar is basically acetic acid, either natural or chemical. Acetates are plant killers. Orange oil is a solvent. Orange oil sort of softens the plant up so that the acetates in the vinegar can kill it. But it only really works on green vegetation. The soap that you put in there, a little squirt of dish soap, that simply serves as a surfactant, makes it coat things. If you've ever looked carefully at a lot of weeds, they've got a real fine, dense, hairy material on it that makes the liquid bead up on top of it. The soap takes care of that. It penetrates down, gets on the leaves. Now, just like Roundup, though, your vinegar-orange oil mix really only works on green vegetation. You can use that to your advantage. Now, if you're trying to use it to kill Bermuda grass or Johnson grass, totally wasting your time because that's all totally brown now, and it's not going to have any effect on it. But what about the person who has a Bermuda grass yard that's totally brown, that has all these little dandelions and bits of clover and things sprouting up out there in the Bermuda grass? Go out and spray it right now with your vinegar orange oil. You're not going to hurt your Bermuda grass, and you're going to kill out all the green stuff that's out there. In my vegetable garden, I have plenty of weeds, believe me. And if I'm going out, especially in the heat, and the rows in my vegetable garden are, well, they're longer than from corner to corner, maybe half again as long as from corner to corner. And if I'm going down between the rows spraying with vinegar and orange oil, by the time I get to that end, the weeds on this end are already shriveling and dying. Try it sometime. You'll be amazed at how well it works. Do not leave it in your sprayer. It will eat the rubber seals out of your sprayer. Rinse your sprayer thoroughly after you've done this. I have one sprayer I've used for 6 or 8 years using this stuff, and it still works fine. But you leave that vinegar in a sprayer even overnight, you may be replacing the rubber seals in it. I think that's everything I want to say about that. If you want to use it in an area where you have things that you don't want to kill, what you can do is put on a pair of dishwashing gloves, get a sponge, and go out and sponge it onto the weeds. It only works when you get it on the vegetation. You've got an oak tree with poison ivy growing up it, spray the poison ivy with your mix. As long as it's a woody bark, you're not going to hurt the tree at all. But now on woody things, just like Roundup, they may want to tell you that, man, you spray Roundup, it'll kill everything. Anybody that's ever tried to kill Johnson grass with Roundup knows that you will spray it several times, Bermuda or, poison ivy or anything else. Vinegar and oil is the same way. You can make several applications if you're really going to kill it. And when we do vegetable gardening, I'll tell you about getting rid of Bermuda. I'm not taking their time right now. Yes, ma'am.
The social grass, are they supposed to stay green all year?
No, ma'am. It turns brown in the winter.
Oh, okay.
I have a
I thought
question.
mine had died.
Well, if it freezes, maybe it hadn't frozen where you are. And it doesn't always turn brown, but most years it will. Yes, ma'am.
Is it best to get the weeds under control before you start spreading fertilizer and, okay.
No, it doesn't make any difference. You may have to mow a little bit more often. But your fertilizer works with your natural grass, your existing grass, which again is your best defense against weeds.
You can't use this solution once the grass has turned green?
It'll kill the grass.
Kill the grass. Okay.
Yeah, you only put it on things you want to kill. Yes, ma'am.
It's not so much weeds in my grass, but weeds in my beds.
Uh-huh.
And I thought I would be smart this year and maybe put down some corn gluten
I'm going to
meal.
talk about that next.
Okay, because I heard you talk about this morning on the radio, number one, the cost, but number two is that once you put it down, you don't water it very often. So in my beds, that wouldn't necessarily be a good idea, would it? If I don't
We'll
water
talk about corn gluten meal. That's the next subject. So let me get any other questions about vinegar and orange oil. Yes.
Is it strong enough for dollar weed?
Oh, yeah. But dollarweed will die out if you stop watering. Dollarweed cannot grow in dry soils.
What about in your flower beds? Like,
Stop watering so much. If you don't water more than once a week, your dollarweed will die
We like our
out.
flowers.
Yeah, but your flowers should get by on once a week watering. Yeah, it will work very well. It'll kill dollarweed like that. But, well, there are 2 or 3 different things. A lot of people confuse dichondra with dollarweed. It'll kill dichondra like that. Dollarweed will take a little bit longer. But run your beds drier, and you will not have dollarweed. Yes?
The orange oil, would you just put that directly on, firing it down?
No, that's a whole other subject too.
Okay.
Mix it with a little molasses, mix it with a little compost tea. Yes, sir?
I've got some ivy ground cover that I don't have outside. Keep some back in the grass. Will it take care of that pretty well?
Your lawnmower will do a better job if you just keep mowing it off. It will die. But if you want to use it on it, you certainly can. Yes, sir?
Shelf life of organic Roundup?
It diminishes with time. I mix it fresh every time I use it. And I think that's the best procedure. If you have some left over, don't leave it in the sprayer. Pour it back in the bottle and do not screw the cap on tightly or it'll blow up. If you leave it loose, it's probably good for a week or so. Yes?
The orange oil mop water, can
Uh-huh.
that go on in a potted plant?
I wouldn't really recommend it. If orange oil is too strong, it will burn the roots on plants. It's just like Malcolm's anti-fuego, which we'll talk about another time. Use it according to the directions. It'll probably kill your plants because it's too strong. Yes?
What kind of sprayer would you use?
If you're using the orange oil vinegar mix, it has to be a pump-up sprayer or a trombone sprayer, something that doesn't dilute it with water because it has to be full strength. I like these little pump-up sprayers. They're not the quality they once were, but they're still pretty good things.
Put it in a Windex bottle.
You can put a Windex bottle, yeah, just a small amount, but I don't want to do the whole yard with a Windex bottle. I'd have one. About corn gluten meal, and let's talk about pre-emergent herbicides. Pre-emergent means before the seed sprouts or before the weeds emerge. And pre-emergent herbicides, a lot of people think a pre-emergent herbicide kills seeds. A pre-emergent herbicide does not kill seeds. A pre-emergent herbicide kills the young plant as the seed tries to germinate. Anybody ever picked up a mountain laurel seed? You know what a hard little bean it is? And there's nothing's going to keep that seed from sprouting. But there are things you can do to kill that little seedling as it comes up. Chemical pre-emergents work one way and they can damage existing good plants. The natural pre-emergent herbicide, corn gluten meal, works a totally different way. Corn gluten meal is not the same as cornmeal. When you take corn